So hello students, we were discussing the chapter plant kingdom. So in last class we have finished the first division in the plant kingdom, that was the division algae. Okay, so after completion of that, this is the differences between the three classes of the algae, that is Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae as well as the Rhodophyceae. So that if we plot those differences in only in a table, what we can see, in the first column we are having the classes as well as the different characters. In the first row we are having the name of classes. So common name for the Chlorophyceae, it is green algae. Okay, like that the common name for Phaeophyceae, it is brown algae, and common name for the Rhodophyceae, it is red algae. Like that the second character, the major pigments that are present in the classes. The Chlorophyceae is possessing chlorophyll A and B. Okay, chlorophyll A and B are the major pigments present in the class Chlorophyceae or green algae. So remember, chlorophyll A is a dominant one. Okay, and this chlorophyll A pigment is similar to the pigment that are present in the green plants. And second class is the Phaeophyceae. The major pigments present in the Phaeophyceae, it is fucoxanthin, along with that chlorophyll A and chlorophyll C. Okay, but the amount of fucoxanthin is more. Based on the amount of fucoxanthin, the color of the Phaeophyceae will be variable. Next one, Rhodophyceae. The major pigment present are chlorophyll A, chlorophyll D, as well as the important one, phycoerythrin. Okay, so the major pigment is phycoerythrin, but along with that chlorophyll A and D are also present. So in the examination, if any question asked for 1 mark, like mention the pigment present in classes like Chlorophyceae, so on that case you have to mention chlorophyll A and B. Okay, if they asked mention the major pigment that is present in Phaeophyceae, on that case you have to mention fucoxanthin. Okay, like that in case of Rhodophyceae, it is phycoerythrin. Next one, the stored food that is present. The stored food in case of Chlorophyceae, it is starch. Okay, and that starch is commonly present in a special storage bodies called as pyrenoids. Okay, pyrenoids. In case of Phaeophyceae, the stored food is called as mannitol or laminarin. In case of Rhodophyceae, it is a Floridian starch. Okay, name of the stored food you have to remember. Next character, it is the cell wall, and what is the nature of the cell wall. In case of green algae, the cell wall is made up of only cellulose, you already know that. But in case of brown algae or the Phaeophyceae, along with the cellulose, other hydrocolloid is present, it is called as algin. Okay, this algin is present around the cell wall. In case of Rhodophyceae, the cell wall material is cellulose, but along with the cellulose, other two substances are present. Which are those? Pectin and polysulfate esters. Next character is flagellar number and position of insertion. Okay, flagella ಎಷ್ಟು number ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಮತ್ತೆ what is the position of that flagella. In case of green algae, we can observe flagella from 2 to 8. That means some organisms are possessing 2 flagella, some are 4, okay, some are 6 and some are 8, 2 to 8, and they are equal. What it means? Their size is equal. If 2 flagella are present, their length is equal. Okay, there is no unequal flagella. As well as their position is apical. That means they are present at the apice of the organism. In the last class, in the previous one, you observed the diagram of Chlamydomonas, which was possessing 2 flagella, isn't it? Which was present at the apical position of the organism. In case of brown algae or the Phaeophyceae, the number of flagella is 2. Okay, it is restricted to number 2, but it is unequal. This is the important one. The flagella are unequal. It was called as the pyriform, isn't it? The spores or the gametes that were present in the brown algae, we call them as a pyriform one. So that they are possessing 2 unequal flagella, and their position is lateral on 2 sides of the body. In case of Rhodophyceae, the flagella is absent. Peculiar character of the red algae. What it is? Flagella is absent in case of red algae. Okay. Next one, the habitat one, where they are commonly grow. The habitat is more or less all these three classes algae are aquatic, but in case of chlorophyceae they may be fresh water, salt water, as well as sometimes brackish water. So brackish water means the stagnant one, the static water which is not flowing. In case of Phaeophyceae, they are rarely fresh water. That means only few brown algae are found in fresh water like rivers, water streams and all. Majority of the Phaeophyceae are present in the salt water. That means their habitat is marine. Some Phaeophyceae are present in brackish water also, okay, in the stagnant water. Like that, the red algae, some are fresh water, some are present, not only some, most of the red algae are present in the salt water. That means they commonly found in the ocean, as well as they are also present in the brackish water. Okay, so after studying this table in the examination, it's a 3 marks question. That means they will ask you to write the differences between any two class. They will give name of any two class and they will ask you to write their peculiar differences. So that's why on that case you have to start from this common name, pigment present, stored food and cell, like that. Okay, so next division in case of plant kingdom, it is called as the bryophyte. The first division is algae, second division is the bryophyte, and these bryophytes are somewhat highly evolved, somewhat they are highly complex compared to the previous one, that is algae. The important thing about the bryophyte, they are called as the amphibians of the plant kingdom. Amphibians of the plant kingdom because they can live in soil but need water for their sexual reproduction. So amphibian, what it means, there are two words. Amphibians ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡು ವರ್ಡ್ ಇದೆ. AMPHI, amphi ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಡ್ಯುಯಲ್ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಓಕೆ, BIANS, BIANS means organism, okay, or life. In short we can say it as a life. The organisms which are possessing two lives. So andre ಏನು ಅರ್ಥ, they can grow in the soil as well as the water. Okay, but not all the organisms which can live both in water and soil, we cannot call them as amphibians. They should depend on the water for their sexual reproduction. Okay, like in case of animal kingdom, a frog is called as the amphibian, isn't it? That means the frog can live on the soil as well as it can live on the water also. But along with that, the crocodile can also live both on land as well as on the water. But you cannot call crocodile or tortoise as an amphibian. Why? Because frog requires water for their sexual reproduction. But crocodile and tortoise, they also goes to the water, but they need not depend on the water for their sexual reproduction. Understood? That is what the major difference. So that if we are calling any organism as an amphibian, they must and should depend on the water for their sexual reproduction, like bryophytes as well as like the frog, like in case of the class amphibians in the animal kingdom. The habitat of the bryophyte, they commonly occur in the damp, humid and shaded localities. So damp and humid andre moisture containing anta artha. Okay, as well as they commonly grows in the shaded localities where sunlight reaches very least. Okay, sunlight availability tumba kadime iruvanta ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ, shade ಇರುವಂತ, ನೆರಳು ಇರುವಂತ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ. Found in moist shaded areas in the hills. So commonly bryophytes are found in the common shaded areas in the hills. ಬೆಟ್ಟದ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಗೋಡೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಬೆಳೀತದೆ ಅದು. The body of the bryophytes is more differentiated than that of algae. ನೋಡಿ, ಬ್ರಯೋಫೈಟ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಆಲ್ಗೆ ಬಾಡಿಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಶಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ನೋಡಿ, ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಶಿಯೇಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೋರ್ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬಿನ್ ಮಾಡಿಫೈಡ್. ದ ಬಾಡಿ ಆಫ್ ದ ಬ್ರಯೋಫೈಟ್ is modified or it has been evolved from the algae. Okay, it is thallus-like and prostrate or erect and attached to the substrate by unicellular or multicellular rhizoids. So the body of the bryophyte is also called as the thallus. Okay, it is also thallus-like. What is thallus? You already know. The plant body which we cannot divide it into root, stem and leaf. ಯಾವ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಬಾಡಿಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ರೂಟ್, ಸ್ಟೆಮ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಲೀಫ್ ಆಗಿ ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂಥ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೇವೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಲಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೆಯೋದು. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ algae were possessing the thallus, like that bryophytes are also possessing the thallus. But in case of bryophytes, what happens? They are attached to the substratum by unicellular or multicellular structures called as rhizoids. So in case of algae we didn't have any rhizoid like structures, but in case of bryophytes we are having certain root like structures called as rhizoids. So ಒಂದು diagram ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡೋಣ ಅದು. So this is the diagram of Markantia. Okay, so here you can observe small hair like structures, root like structures called as rhizoids, but these are not true roots. Okay, rhizoids are not true roots, but they are true like root like structures. They lack true roots, stem or leaves. They may possess root like, leaf like or stem like structure. The body of these bryophyte, they don't have any true roots, true stem or true leaves, but they are possessing the structures which are similar to those. Like in Markantia again we can observe. So this is the thallus of the Markantia. Okay, this is what the thallus. The entire body is green color, a stuff like structure. Along with that some root like structures are present. We call them as rhizoids, as well as it is the green color leaf like structure, isn't it? Next one, the main plant body in case of bryophyte is haploid. The main plant body is haploid. Remember, whatever you are observing, this is entire, it is haploid. So haploid andre enu? The individual cell in this body is consisting only n number of chromosomes, not 2n number. Okay, it produces gametes, hence is called a gametophyte. This body is called as this thallus is called as the gametophyte. Why? Because it is going to produce the gametes, that is the sperm and egg cell. That's why it is called as the gametophyte. In bryophytes, the dominant phase in the life cycle is the gametophytic plant body. Okay, bryophyte adalli dominant phase yavadu andre gametophyte anta artha. Like that in algae also it was gametophyte, like in bryophyte also it is gametophyte. It is the dominant one. That means the entire body is gametophytic. That means the entire body is a haploid one. Okay, entire body is haploid and it is the body which is going to produce the gametes. The sex organs in bryophytes are multicellular. Okay, the sex organs are not well developed, but they are multicellular one. While in case of the algae, they are not completely developed, even though some organisms were unicellular. But in case of bryophytes, we are not going to observe any unicellular bryophyte. All the bryophytes are multicellular. Okay, the male sex organ is antheridium and it produces biflagellate antherozoids. Okay, the male gamete in case of bryophyte is called as antherozoid. Okay, antherozoid anta kariteve, common agi sperm anta kuda karitare, but ಇಂಥ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ವರ್ಡ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಆಂಥೆರೋಜೋಯಿಡ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೆಯೋದು. That antherozoid is produced inside the antheridium, which is called as the male sex organ. Like that, the female sex organ is called as the archegonium. Okay, female sex organ ಗೆ archegonium ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ and is flask shaped and it produces a single egg. So female sex gamete ಯಾವುದು ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ egg cell, male sex gamete ಯಾವುದು antherozoid. Okay, and the male sex organ is called antheridium, female sex organ is called as archegonium. In the picture we can observe Markantia female thallus. So this is the female thallus of the Markantia. Okay, this is the entire gametophyte, the entire body. This is the dominant one. This body is the photosynthetic. So the archegoniophore, so this entire structure is called as the sex organ. It is the female sex organ. This archegoniophore is the stalk of this. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಅದೊಂದು ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. So within this structure, as it is a female thallus, egg cell will be produced. Understood? ಈ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ egg cell production ಆಗ್ತದೆ. Like that, this is the Markantia male thallus. So as it is a male, the thallus is same as compared to the female one, but the sex organ is having the stalk called as antheridiophore, which gives support to the antheridium. So illi antheridium irtade, illi archegonium irtade. Understood? So the supporting structure ಇದೆ antheridium ಮತ್ತೆ archegonium they are supporting structure. At the top we can observe the sex organ. So this archegonium is going this archegonium is going to produce the egg cell. This antheridium is going to produce the anthrozoids. Next one, anthrozoids are released into water where they come in contact with archegonium. An anthrozoid fuses with the egg to form the zygote. So as we already know, bryophytes must and should require the water for their sexual reproduction. That's why the anthrozoids should be released into the water, isn't it? If the water is absent, anthrozoid cannot move from one place into another place. That means from antheridium into the archegonium they cannot move. That's why they depend on the water. That's why the anthrozoids are released into the water. With the help of water, anthrozoids will move into the archegonium. So then when the anthrozoids reaches the archegonium, they will fuse with the egg to form the zygote. As and when the male and female gametes fuses, the diploid structure is called as the zygote. See, this entire structure is haploid. In this structure we are going to get the gametes, isn't it? Both will fuse. That means from this antheridium, anthrozoid will move and fuses with the egg cell, so that within this archegonium the zygote is going to form, which is diploid. Zygotes do not undergo meiosis immediately. They produce a multicellular body called a sporophyte. So ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ, antheridium ಇಂದ anthrozoid ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಆಗಿ archegonium ರೀಚ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ egg cell ಇರ್ತದೆ. Antheridium fuses with egg cell so that a diploid zygote will be formed in this archegonium. Okay, that zygote will develop into a multicellular structure called as ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರ ಹೆಸರು, sporophyte. ಆ zygote ಇದ್ದದ್ದು ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಗೋ ಮಿಯೋಸಿಸ್ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ಲಿ. zygote ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಿಯೋಸಿಸ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಮೈಟೋಟಿಕ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಸ್ಪೋರೋಫೈಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಬಹುದು. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಪೋರೋಫೈಟ್. Okay, so this is example of funaria. Like that Markensia, it is the gametophyte. So ಇದು gametophyte ಇದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ rhizoids ಇದೆ. Okay, so already sexual reproduction ಆಯಿತು, antheridium archegonium production ಆಯಿತು, anthrozoid egg cell production ಆಯಿತು, zygote formation ಆಯಿತು. Zygote is developed into a sporophyte. This is the sporophyte. Sporophyte is not free living but attached to the photosynthetic gametophyte and derives nourishment from it. So as and when the sexual reproduction takes place, zygote is used to form in the gametophyte only, but the developed sporophyte, it is not independent in living. See, you can observe the sporophyte is attached with the gametophyte. Gametophyte basal position allide, sporophyte upper position allide. ಅಂದ್ರೆ zygote formation ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅದು ಈ ಮದರ್ ಬಾಡಿಯನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಡಿಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. Sporophyte is completely depending on the gametophyte in case of bryophytes for its nourishment. ಈ ಸ್ಪೋರೋಫೈಟ್ ಗೆ ಫುಡ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ನರಿಶ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ, ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅದು ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟೋಫೈಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್? ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್, ಸಮ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸ್ಪೋರೋಫೈಟ್ undergo meiosis to form haploid spores. These spores germinate to form the gametophyte. ಈ ಸ್ಪೋರೋಫೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂರು ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಈಗಲೇ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. The point of attachment of this sporophyte with the gametophyte is called as foot. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಫುಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಲೇಬಲಿಂಗ್ ಇರಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, FOOT, ಫುಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಪೋರೋಫೈಟ್ is called as seta, SETA, seta ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. The tip portion of the sporophyte is called as capsule. Okay, tip portion of the sporophyte is called as capsule. Understood? ಇಲ್ಲಿ leaves ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಲೇಬಲಿಂಗು, they are not true leaves. Understood? ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬುಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಇದು. ಲೀವ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, that is not true leaves, they are leaf like structures. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಏನು ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓದಿದ್ದು, some cells of the sporophyte undergo meiosis to form haploid spores. Some cells of the sporophyte undergo meiosis. ಯಾವ ಸೆಲ್ಲು ಫುಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆಯಾ, ಸೆಟಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ಸುಲ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆಯಾ, ಇದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ಸುಲ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ they will undergo meiosis so that they are going to form the haploid spores. Understood? So these spores germinate to form new gametophyte. ಈಗ ಏನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ಈ ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ಸುಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಇದು ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಮಿಯೋಸಿಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಹ್ಯಾಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ದೋಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಸೆಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಇಂಟು ಎ ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಸ್. ದೋಸ್ ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಜರ್ಮಿನೇಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಎ ನ್ಯೂ ಗ್ಯಾಮ್ಟೋಫೈಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಅಗೇನ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮ್ಟೋಫೈಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಗೇನ್ ಆಂಥ್ರಿಡಿಯಂ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗೋದು, ಆರ್ಕಿಗೋನಿಯಂ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗೋದು, ಸೆಕ್ಸುವಲ್ ರಿಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗೋದು, ಝೈಗೋಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್. ಝೈಗೋಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಡೆವಲಪಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಟು ಎ ಸ್ಪೋರೋಫೈಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಅಗೇನ್ ಸ್ಪೋರೋಫೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಿಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಆಗೋದು, ಅಗೇನ್ ಸ್ಪೋರ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್. ಸೊ ಇದು ಒಂದು ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಸೈಕಲ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ನು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಸೈಕಲ್ ಹೇಗಾಗ್ತದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡುವ. ಓಕೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.